This is the book of this is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2, and the point is verse 11, and it reads, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." I want to start off by giving all praises, all honor, and all glory to God, Elohim Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakadosh. I say double honors to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone, teaching do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing its truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aquat that are listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of the other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you I say shalom. This is the brother Yahweh Sap out of the GMS Cleveland Church, a fellow servant, coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. This lesson was inspired by a video that I was just watching, as well as an article. I don't know this brother's name. I'm not sure what camp or what city this brother's out of. I want to say is L.A. though, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. But basically it goes into how we will make it through the Lord. That's how. But basically going into that video, the viral video, I believe the elder Mwatazak from Ancient of Days. I'm not mistaken. No, Salakia. It was the elder of Amawanga Bar that put that video up there showing that individual talking about how the dollar is gonna crash. And, just, like the scripture said in 2 Corinthians chapter 2, at least Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Scripture talks about surely the Most High will reveal it through his saints in the book of Amos. So, the Lord's, dealing with you, he's revealing certain things to us because all these things were prescribed and pre-written. With that being said, that's why I started with that scripture. And that's a very good video. So I suggest Akim watch it, Aquath and Akim. But Akim, because, at the end of the day, it's basically going to be a certain mindset you're going to have to endure these days. Brother he made a statement in that video. He was talking about how a lot of brothers or a lot of men, because, you try, brother. It's something my father used to say, my worldly father used to say, people so quick to call a person a friend. Be grateful if you got one person you can consider a friend in your lifetime, you know what I mean? And that's the same for a brother. Scriptures talk about a brother is created for adversity, roughly paraphrased. With that being said, a lot of men aren't basically not under. I understand now why the elders say you got men in this thing that don't know what they're involved in, because, again, this is it's the straight gate, like the book of Matthew chapter 7 says. We entering in at the straight gate. When you go into that word straight, it's a path of difficulty. So, we're all about to be tried. The scriptures talk about that for a particular reason. And, the way that this devil's going to try is he's about to make everybody suffer. You got to take, even that sister, because that's been a topic right now in Israel. The Lord is funny, maybe smile for a minute. But anyhow, that sister had a dream, and I've watched elders speak on it, but basically they all agreed that she was in the spirit, and basically she made mention of certain things that can sound, we don't know how the Most High is going to play it out, but it sounds believable. Basically they could lock us down, and then, basically when they allow you to be able to move around again, the infrastructure could be changed, that make a lot of sense, because you got to understand, when they locked us down previously, they said that they built a lot of that 5G towers. And I could believe that too. The Lord's so cold. I remember when I was homeless and I was in this program, and not to get too deep, but Satan is in the midst of everything. You know what I mean? just like the Most High is, you know what I mean? Especially for certain individuals. And I remember it was this guy, and I'm homeless, and the program was set up for fathers. And this dude was like a mason or he was something, you know what I'm saying? Like this dude, big demon, right? So long story short, though, he was trying to get me a job, but the job consisted of the 5G. And it just cut my spirit because I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? And, I wasn't moving a certain kind of way, so he stopped even bringing up the job. But the point was, it was like to get, because I hadn't worked in a minute, and to get that job, I was like, well, damn, I was already aware of they gonna use this as the infrastructure. They need that system in place to, basically put up the infrastructure to actually allow this shit to happen. You got to understand that 5G is supposed to be, that's how they're going to be able to instantly, all the instant payments, you know what I mean? And then, it's spiritual how the Lord was doing it. Like this dude that I stay in a 2-family, and the dude, this nigga, he literally was going to try and, like, he was basically working for a company that was putting it up. And, I rarely spoke to this guy, but just one day he had spirits on him because he was geeked up. And he tried to hit me with the, like the job on the 5G. And I was just like, So with that being said, you know, basically I could see us being locked down again because you got so much things going on, with the climate, with the weather, with the the violence, shit. I think they talking about it and on the West Coast. Basically they not giving you a bail. They just straight releasing you depending on the crime. Just like they was just trying to do in Chicago. And my demon took my children to California. But this dumb bitch talking about so good. I mean, excuse my French, but at the same time, he, I think bitch is a German word. No, fuck is a German word. It's irrelevant. Actually, bitch is an English word, I believe. That comes from the I don't know where the root word come from. Salakia, my mind has a lot of different places, but to stay on point, she wanted to try to take my kids back there because, literally, they had gave out a lot of that money, Newsom, that Galvin Newsom guy, he literally, you still got people getting assistance out there because it's the setup of the UBI, that's all that stimulus shit was, And like I said, when you get desperate enough, that's why that guy Klaus Schwab made the statement. He said you will own nothing to be happy, because people are going to basically basically forsake. They gonna basically to fit in with the system. They gonna basically run to Esau for they gonna choose Esau. That's why scriptures talk about the world that this world was made for many, but the world to come is made for few. Because you're gonna have more people that's gonna basically accept this shit. You know what I mean? But Salakia, with that being said, this article caught my attention because it goes into we in Ohio, Cleveland to be exact. It go into bank closings, and the way that they're going to bring the system is they're going to phase out paper money and bring in a digital currency. Well, that's why you have your whole Fed now situation, which, you know what I mean, everybody got their own opinion of what this system is set up to do and what you read. But just because you read that, you don't know the details completely of what this system entails. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, like, you got to understand these people use technology. They got us using technology that is way more obsolete than what they really got available. You know what I mean? Like, these devils can do a lot of shit. That's just like that video that the Elder Muwatazak put up there. I can't remember, but it was like a podcast. And basically the Edomites were speaking on, like different sources they had. They supposed to have military sources. And basically they talking about, expect rolling blackouts. Expect certain things this summer. And you can see it coming. You got we just had some of the hottest days on record, period. You know what I mean? All those things are said to be able to actually shut down the power grid. You got 3 days worth of food in the supermarket. You got people that don't even think about having food in their house. I know Akim that we call brothers that don't even think like that. And the thing is, you're supposed to trust in the Lord. So, but at the same time, scriptures talk about being a prudent man. A prudent man foreseeth the evil. What I mean? So you're supposed to be prepared to a degree as well. But Salakia, again, I'm kind of rambling. It's late night, as you can see. Mercy, call Loyim Layab Shimon Shab 444. Call Loyim Layab Shimon Shab Hashem Rachakatus with that. Call Loyim Layab Shimon Shab Hashem Rachakatus with that. Call Loyim Layab Hashem Shab Hashem Rachakatus with that. So with that being said, you got more of these banks closing, especially in Ohio. I just did a video recently about like 4 of the major banks. Basically, they losing money. You know what I mean? So that you can see, if you have an eye to see, that this system is, that's what makes it ingenious, the way that the devil did it, because making the American dollar the world currency, because when our dollar is affected, it affects the whole world. So to bring down the whole world economically, you take out the world currency. It says Ohio residents facing banking shifts as another bank plans branch closures. I remember brothers were speaking on how you got banks where you can't get money out like that. It was a TikTok video. The lady said she went into the bank trying to get money. They said, we don't keep money. She said you could transfer your money to another bank if you got another bank account. And she like, huh? You know what I mean? And people are so like dumb with it with this shit. Like I never trust banks based on, my father, I guess he ain't really instilled that, but he kind of like did, he the first one to show me to open up a bank account, but he the same one that didn't put very much money in it. You know what I mean? And so, and it was just like, not to go into detail, he did something. My first experience with a bank account was I had a job, and I worked at McDonald's too. So how back then, you got to work 2 weeks at a whole, and then you still got to work the 2 weeks to get your pay. So I ain't get paid for like a month. And I'm young. I'm like 16. I think check probably wasn't no more than $350, $400. And he opened up a bank account and kept the rest of my money, saying I needed to pay rent. So long story short, that's Jake for you. Know how Jake is. Jake do some, and instead of teaching me like responsibility, which if he'd have had me buy my own clothes and taking care of my own, that would have been more so teaching responsibility. But Jake didn't know no better. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, that's why scriptures talk about how wicked Jake can be. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, it kind of shied me away from doing certain shit. You know what I mean? So with that being said, that lady that made that video on the TikTok, she said she could feel through the spirit. Like that's the Most High actually like opening up the minds of certain individuals. Because I can't say she looked like an Edomite to me, but I didn't get to really, try the spirit by the spirit or whatnot. She was just speaking, but she did recognize that. She was like, damn, it makes you wonder now. So she was questioning. So the Lord had to be dealing a little bit, because you got people that's completely oblivious to what the fuck going on. Like you gonna have people when they shut this shit down. Like I remember, what was that, like maybe, 2012, when basically they shut down like the system to the point where you couldn't get no money out of your ATMs or use your food stamp card. I remember that. So like I say, as a flip of a button, you know what I'm saying? This is gonna rock a lot of people's world. And that's what the beautiful part about that video was that I showed. Because the thing is, the brothers say, what are you gonna do? Because we all about to be tried. You're not gonna be able to rely on the money, or you might not even be able to rely on the canned goods. You're gonna have to trust solely in the Lord. The scriptures talk about being as pilgrims on the earth. You might have to leave that car, that cell phone. You know what I mean? They already show you, you about to be on a complete grid where you can't do nothing. Like people don't even go check into this. They not even really. That's why the elder talks about the entertainment. Like you're not even checking. You're not being prudent at all. Like literally, they try to put a system in place where, with these CBDCs, that you can't buy certain shit when they don't want you to. Can you imagine that? So if they say that you had enough meat for the month, you stuck eating everything but fucking meat. And then you got these people talking about fucking freedom, though. Salakia. I need to name this various topics. This says more major banks are closing locations across Ohio this summer. Check the latest list. It says earlier this month, I advised readers of multiple bank closing locations in Ohio. Unfortunately, since that article, another bank has. He said since the time he said multiple banks was closing. He said since that time earlier in the month he said another bank is announcing closures. It said another bank has announced allocation that will be closed, and since closed, and Cincinnati residents are again impacted. So Cincinnati is a couple hours from here. That's further south towards like that's further south though. That's like Tennessee would be going. Yeah, that's far. Yeah, I think we still got to go to Tennessee to go down to. But Cincinnati is the southern part of the state. It's like uh, the last city before you actually up out of the state. It says, let's take a look at this developing story. It says bank closing. Major banks continue to push customers toward online banking as they close locations across the United States because it's all systematic. And that's why that devil made that statement about give me control over a nation's money and I care not who makes the laws. That's how they basically expect to control you through your finances. And I'm gonna show you something showing you how the devil take a page out of the scriptures. Because when you go into the book of Genesis chapter 47 and verse 15, and it reads, and when money failed in the land of Egypt. So this is talking about ancient Egypt, but we're living in the modern day Egypt today. When you go into the word Egypt, it simply means bondage. And we're in bondage to America today with these birth certificates and all these different signatures and paperwork that you sign, those contracts. All those are like if you ever heard of the something as like a soul tie, when literally that phrase of deja vu, where it just seemed like certain people that you've met before in your lifetime, that you meet in your lifetime, that you seem like you met before, because there's some people that was like basically certain spirits are like they call them kindred spirits, and the Lord can have certain spirits to either help you out or certain spirits to like affect you through your life. You know what I mean? So yeah, I truly believe in that. But it says, and when money failed in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came onto Joseph. Tells you the modern day Egyptian is these red Hebrew Edomites. When you go into the practice of masonry, it's a book called the Satanic Masonic Satanic Egyptian Connection, and basically goes into how the practices of masonry go back to Egypt. And I wouldn't suggest you delve into that like that, because you got to have a particular type of spirit to be able to deal with certain things. The scriptures talk about seek out not knowledge that's too high for thee, because certain things can bug you the fuck out. You know what I mean? Brothers just reading the scriptures by themselves can bug you out. I know certain individuals that wasn't into certain left hand stuff, but it's ultimately the will of the Lord. That, like I was telling a brother about how like we got a group chat, so it's constantly brothers posting videos up in there. You think any brother's able to watch all them videos, but you got certain brothers that do watch a lot of the videos. That's the spirit of the Lord on that brother, because you gotta remember, knowledge comes from the Lord. It says, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. So basically, this devil's taking, like a lot of other things, this devil rarely creates anything. He basically steals, you know what I mean? And basically he understands the scriptures enough. People were in such dire situation. They basically sold everything and put themselves into servitude onto Pharaoh and ultimately Joseph, in order to live. And that's why that devil made the statement about you will own nothing and be happy. Because they willing to give you a monthly living stipend in order to survive because they about to bring out, it's called the fourth industrial revolution. Technology, if they got technology called smart technology where they got AI that can, answer your questions. They talking about Stanford, I believe it's Stanford, basically next semester is not even going to have a real teacher. People about to be paying $50,000 a year to be learning from AI. They talk about this summer that you're going to have robotic dogs and drones flying through New York. Well, I ain't say next summer. I said this summer. And all they waiting for is the perfect situation to lock this bitch down again. You had all those train derailments. People forget about these. You know what I mean? All these different environmental hazards. What do you think they keep on using that climate change shit for? They literally had, like I said, basically it's supposed to be fires off in Canada, but it was to the point where it's supposed to be affecting New York. I remember brothers doing videos on that, but I'm in Ohio and literally I get a weather advisory. So you don't know what this devil is pumping in the atmosphere. It says back in the article, major banks continue to push customers toward online banking as they close locations across the United States. Each week, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency releases a bulletin of banks set to close, and the list continues to grow. According to data from the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, approximately 8,000 banks were in operation in 2000, but by 2022, this figure was halved. So they said in 22 years, 4,000 banks basically closed. The latest list of closings that has listed the U.S. Bank at 131st William St. Cincinnati, Ohio. While some people do their banking online, many still prefer to visit a bank to conduct their finances. So these closures will cause some concerns to some customers. Because take the time to think about it. I mean, like a lot of people utilize online banking, because of the convenience of it. But if you have an issue, what do you want to do? You want to show up to a branch to talk to them about what the fuck going on. Well, take the time to think about it. If they eliminated the bank branches, you have ever had to call like the county government, or like if you've ever got any kind of assistance, like how hard it is to get in touch with a living person? Oh, this shit gonna be crazy. Below are the bank locations set to close in Ohio over the summer, and they really said Cleveland, but it's still the state, and a lot of them are U.S. Bank. So U.S. Bank, the Montgomery Mason, Cincinnati, PNC Bank, Cincinnati, PNC Bank, St. Elyria, Citizens Bank, Milford, Citizens Bank, Middleburg Heights. Now that's close to me. That's what past Westlake, Middleburg Heights, near the airport. So that's like the closest one. Everything else is another city. Well, Middleburg, of course, is another city, but what I'm saying is like that's probably like maybe 20, 30 minutes away. Toledo and all that, that's a lot further. It says PNC Bank, U.S. Bank, Fifth Third, U.S. Bank. It says, well, that's pretty much it. It just gave you a list of these banks closing. So, because at the end of the day, it's a plan from the Most High to basically, try, everyone. So, try the hopeful elect as well as, basically, it's not really trying the 2/3 because the Lord already know that they going to basically, they're setting themselves up for the judgment. This is the book of Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 16, and it reads, redeeming the time because the days are evil. We are in evil times, you know what I mean? Evil, Eve meaning time, ill meaning bad. Bad times are approaching, you know what I mean? Like I said, there's a lot going on. You see these devils conspiring constantly. Things are getting a lot harder, and they're going to get more hard, or they're going to get harder, to the point where we're going to need deliverance. So you have to have a particular mindset, because, literally, that's why, I forgot where is that. I want to say it's Corinthians, but Paul said, basically he counted all things as done to win Mashiach. That's what, Paul didn't take a wife. Paul didn't even really deal with women. I remember my demon told me that, a woman trying to think she know what the fuck she's talking about. Paul, because he said scriptures talk about how Paul had a thorn in the flesh, but it wasn't a woman. I think he literally dealt with a spirit, you know what I mean? But with that being said, verse 17, wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. And the will of the Lord is first and foremost for this thing is to come to pass, because the Lord is about to try the whole earth. The will of the Lord for the hopeful elect is not to succumb or to take this, see it. That's spiritual because it's a 5. That's power. Because the scriptures talk about us all being tested. It's the book of Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10, and it reads, fear none of these things. It's like, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried. Ye shall have tribulation 10 days, but be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So different individuals will have different tribulations or trials. Scriptures go into different trials. That's your point of going through your adversities now. That's what scripture talk about, baptizing you in fire. Your afflictions. Because, that's like with a muscle, or a boxer that you constantly, using his hand and hardening his like when you go into Muay Thai, and those fighters basically strengthen their limbs, kicking those trees, and they're constantly tearing down, that bone and that muscle. Well, they really was pretty much breaking that bone, and then the bone is basically hardening. So, that's like with anything else. When you're constantly going through something, you're supposed to get, like when you work a muscle enough, you're supposed to get bigger. So, to the point where you're going to have certain individuals, that's going to basically be cold to this world. And you're going to have a certain cold spirit. It ain't a certain cold spirit. You're going to have a cold spirit in that day. You're going to have judgment, like what makes me think of that movie Book of Eli, when basically he was on a mission to go get the book up out of there, and he heard a traveler basically getting raped and tortured and basically getting killed. And he wanted to go help in the flesh. His flesh somehow, he wanted to go. Well, he kept on trying to psych himself up like, stay on the mission, stay on the mission. And the scriptures even go into that. But his flesh, you could tell he was battling because he wanted to go help. But, first and foremost, this mission, which is, proclaiming this gospel, bringing out this word, is first and foremost. We got individuals that have families, you have individuals that don't. But your main mission is to, if you're in a camp when the Lord gave you this truth, is for you to, proclaim this gospel. Now, we all have individual missions as well. That's why the scriptures talk about seek out ye your own salvation with fear and trembling. But you got to remember, we are a brotherhood, and there's certain things that, is required of brothers, which are, in this truth, Scriptures talk about a love, you know what I mean? Love for the brotherhood, love for the, the brothers and the sisters, So yeah, you're gonna have certain individuals try. What else was I gonna get? This is the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 12, and it reads, blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua hath promised to them that love him. So it's not just being tried, because you got some people that are tried and fail. To be a champion, it means to overcome. That's why scriptures talk about he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. You got certain individuals that get tried and fall out. That's why the scriptures, now it's a different about trying and failing, but the whole point is to get back up. That's why it talks about a just man falleth 7 times, but basically gets back up. And it doesn't have to be 7 exactly. It's just a complete number. It could be 75,000 times for an individual like me. I'm kind of hard headed, you know. What I mean? You know, the Lord know what He created, you know. But at the same time, you know, the whole thing is to get back up. You know, the Lord loves a fighter. You know, I remember a 2/3 nigga told me that, and I really, because I'm like, this nigga, what is he? But you know what? The Lord can speak through anybody, and you know, he absolutely right. You know, now, certain individuals, the Lord was a lot more sterner on. Some individuals, the Lord was, you know, softer to, you know what I mean? More compassionate with. You know, it make me think about with Elijah. When Elijah had went through all that and basically was up in the cave and the Lord spoke to him. You know, he said he's saying all these different signs, but he was like, the Lord wasn't in any of that. He was in a slight whisper in the wind. What else do I got? It's the book of Second Thessalonians chapter 1 and verse 4, and it says, so that I'll start up. It's just Second Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 3. We are bound to thank the Most High always for you, brethren, as it is meet, because that your faith groweth exceedingly, and the charity of every one of you all towards each other aboundeth. So charity to love, you know, that's that brotherhood, you know. And you know, and that's basically in the law, you know, like love thy brothers, thy love thyself. Verse 4, so that we ourselves glory in you in the church. Salaki, Second Thessalonians first, Salaki, Second Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 4, so that we ourselves glory in you in the churches of the Most High for your patience and faith in all your persecutions and tribulations that ye endure. So, I mean, you know, like the brother has said in that video, you got certain men that think this is going to be a cakewalk. The Lord has been trying us and taking us through afflictions the whole time. If you're not aware, the whole time when you've been in the truth. Well, you know, and you got a lot of brothers catching hell right now. I listen to the elder Yashawamba from Dallas a lot, and he was going into that. You know, you might not know. Like at one point in time when I first came into the truth, I used to be of a mindset because I used to go through a lot of different shit, but I didn't understand why. And now I understand a lot more why. But I'm gonna be honest with myself and to the audience, whoever's listening. I used to resent it to a degree because you had certain individuals that you could tell wasn't going through shit. You know what I mean? You could tell. That's why they had a smug look, or you know, scriptures talk about a wise man seldom smile. They always got a goofy ass look on their face, or you know, a smile and whatnot, and that comes with a particular spirit. You know what I mean? But like the elder apostle Ramla made this statement, and I'll never forget. He said, you know, at the end of the day, we all gonna catch it. You might be catching yours now, but and that individual might catch theirs later, but we all gonna catch it. And I truly believe that. You know, you got certain everybody's, you know, was created the way that the Most High had them created for, you know, and you just got to figure out what was your purpose and try to do, you know, just like, you know, it says it's different offices in the church. You know, you need to figure out what your purpose is in the church and, you know, basically try to, you know, do that duty to the best of your ability. But my point of bringing that out is, like I said again, we all gonna catch persecutions, and we ain't even really been catching real persecution yet. They setting up a system where literally they about to be monitoring these videos. So based on these videos, and it's perfect control. You take time to think about it. It's a stupid ass, you know. That's showing you how the Most High is truly behind it. When you think of Job, where it said the deceived and deceiver both his, because you know, literally, with the system they set them in place, you would think like, damn. Like if you was a boss of whatever, a business, like they said, 50 Cent basically was a boss in the street. He had like 10 men working up under him. Basically, you need to. I knew a nigga. This nigga is a certain restaurant in the city we grew up in. Some kind of way. This nigga, he a street nigga, but he a business minded savvy dude. Like I don't think he in the street no more, but he actually, you know, put it like this, like. America actually doesn't frown on a business, individual that came from the streets and basically came up in the corporate world, because certain tactics that are used in the streets are used in business. You know what I mean? But long story short, uh, it was a point I was coming with this. Basically, the individual, he bought into a franchise of a restaurant. I ain't gonna name the name, but in our city, you know what I mean. And I guess the point I was bringing up was the fact that, like I said, this dude that was in the streets, basically, because you learn, like I said, certain business tactics, you know, because when you in the streets, that's like running a business. I've literally been through like certain workshops and programs where dudes that never had a job had to have people try to make them a resume, and they would actually like have to take that work, because that is work experience. You dealing with people, so that means you managing people, you dealing with money constantly, you dealing with sales. You know what I mean? So going back to my point of how the Lord basically created everybody's individual experiences to shape you into the man that um, you know, man that He wants you to be. You know what I mean? For His use. Made me think of that movie. I mean, that show Game of Thrones. You know, how everything was set up. How they fought the wolves, and you know what I mean, like everything predestined. But Salaki, I'm rambling. Um, it's the book of Revelation chapter 3 and verse 10. Never did that before. It says Revelation 3 and 10, Salakia. Yeah, I ain't never did that. What's that about? I'm finding a different one. I know probably too many people ain't gonna listen to this one. It's too long. Revelation chapter 3 and 10. And it reads, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. So, again, the Lord is gonna put a spirit on those, and that's why you have a elect, because these individuals going to have a certain kind of mindset and a spirit that the Lord either is going to have on them already, or the Lord going to put on them to not bow down to the system. I was listening to the elder Yahshua. I'm going to make a statement. He had a beautiful video. Went into Esau Edom. I think it was titled something rough. It was a news and prophecy, but it was titled roughly something like, we at the time of the ultimate time of rebellion or something like that. And he was just going into Esau and Edom and equating him with how he's basically trying to be like Nimrod, or and that's why when you go into the Canaanites and the Egyptians, and like he was just breaking down a lot of different things. The elder Yashawamba has a heavy spirit. He's a deep brother, and he was just linking a lot of stuff up to it. You know what I mean? And again, we all gonna be tried, and that's what basically we're being tried now, with these small little situations. And if you basically learn what the Lord wants you to learn out of those situations, you will overcome and advance. If you don't, that might be your stumbling block, and that might be what you put to death. You know what I mean? Again, when you go into the word champion, it means to overcome. Brothers in Chicago did a video. I didn't watch it, but I know brothers posted it. It's so much stuff going on for me lately, which ain't a like major excuse, you know what I mean? But you know how when you just catching your hell and trying to just maintain, and basically going into the video was titled something like this truth is about more than just showing up to camp and doing videos, because we supposed to be living and practicing what we preach. You know what I mean? We ain't supposed to be just You know, we supposed to be, you know, when the world really comes down with this persecution, they, you know, that's how you know it's all spiritual. You know, we are hated because we're bringing out the Bible. The message that we bringing out, they don't like to hear. And that's how you know it's the truth. The scriptures say when this gospel of the kingdom is preached, then the end shall come. And that's how you know we at the end. You know, Christianity with the beloved, that stringy haired white boy Jesus, the other, that white meat. You know, when that was being preached, like the world wasn't in the state that it was in now. Shit, you got to understand the Ku Klux Klan basically considered themselves religious believers. You know what I'm saying? So when you take time to, when you go to Knights of Columbus and all this whole different, so when you literally take the time to think about it, how hypocritical this devil is, you know what I mean? It's the very same thing that he did. You know what I mean? He would have something to say against, us. The only difference is we ain't masked up doing this. That's how you know this is the truth. So again, it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, because everybody's going to be put in a situation tempted. Is you going to, accept this charagma, or is you going to, trust in the Most High? Yeah, how about you, shot? When you go in the book of Psalms, chapter 118, it says it's better to put thy faith in the most, or it's better to trust in the Most High than to put thy confidence in princes or kings. Isaiah talks about woe to them that go down to Egypt for help. You know, you going to rely on the people, the same very people that's trying to put you in this trick bag. You know what I mean? And they can't even protect themselves. They can't even save themselves. So how the fuck? One final scripture. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 13. Because at the end of the day, the ones that's going to be saved are those that was written in the Lamb's book of life, as well as those that's going to basically, it's going to stand boldly. That's not going that's not going to change up. That's going to, stand fast. That's going to hold true. You know, the ones that's going to refuse to, take this man's charagma. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 13, and it reads, "But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved." I want to get that in a blue letter. Because again, you about to suffer persecution now. Like we about to go through our persecution now, which would be because we refuse to deal with this system, and they creating a system where you know you gonna have to have this technology. Well, if you don't get this technology, that means you about to be persecuted. You about to be what's the word? Discriminated against. You know what I mean? If the system is a digital system, but you refuse to deal with the technology of it, how are you gonna survive? When you go into jobs, most jobs are biometrics now. Where you got to put some kind of passcode in, or you got to put some kind of fingerprint or scan something. I remember old timers talking to old timers about jobs. They was like, like back in the day when people used to work for the post office. Post office is a government job, but most of them people that was on them government jobs literally was Jake. Well, I ain't gonna say most of Jake was on there, but at one point in time they did do a lot of hiring of Jake. I remember my father got hired in there when they was doing a massive hire. And long story short, at that time when Jake was all in there, you go back, I've had to experience a few different things in my life, and basically I've had to go to programs. A lot of the individuals that would be speaking used to work at the post office. Like a lot of people that was on drugs or AA would be like, basically during their addiction, that job really helped fuel it. It kind of what's the word? Inhibited them. Not inhibited it. What's the word where you basically damn, it's on the tip of my tongue.
if you basically try to leave, with all these cameras and shit like that. Like back in the day, you could have somebody else punch your time clock in, your time card in. You know what I mean? There's so many ways to get around cash. Like I say, you could be an individual that never had a job. I've known people like that, never had a job, but survived for years, just hustling or whatever the fuck they was doing. Well, now, like I say, who else can put you on this grid? It ain't gonna be none of that. Back into the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 13, and it says, "He," it's like it says, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved." I want to go into that word endure. So like yeah.
Strong's G 5278. Hupamano. Hupamano.
It says humaneo, and it comes from the root G5259, and it's a Greek word, but I'm not even gonna go find that. It says biblical usage: to remain, to tarry behind, to remain, abide, not recede or flee, to persevere under misfortunes and trials, to hold fast to one's faith in the Mashiach. That's a beautiful definition. To preserve, Salaki, to persevere under misfortunes and trials, to hold fast to one's faith in the Mashiach, to endure, bear bravely and calmly ill treatments. So that right there just letting you know, if you're in a spiritual mindset, that's how you know it's not going to be easy. That's why, again, Matthew 7 talk about the straight gate. They about to put everybody in a position of difficulty to basically, because it ain't going to be a situation like the elder Apostle Tahar said, where they just going to hold you down and, literally force this on you. What they going to do is literally put you in a situation where they think, like the sister said in the video, she said basically, that they not gonna really just force it on you. They gonna make you think that you need to take it. So what you gonna trust in? The Most High Yahweh Shem Yahshua, or you gonna trust in this devil? You know what I mean? So with that being said, you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments of your power, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Bashem Yahshua. You will be destroyed. With that, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to God, Loyam, Yahweh Bashem Yahshua, Bashem, Rachakados Bakatham. I say double honor to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone, who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth, with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Say shalom to the Akwath as well as the Yakim out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, with whom subscribe to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Till next time I'm able to come with another lesson. Say shalom, shalom. Wath lababal, shalom.